The stars hung silent and vast around Dex Varrow as he floated among the wrecks of the T-22-star scrapyard. He'd been out here dozens of times before, taking on junk ships for extra credits. But today he'd come across something unexpected, a colossal, ancient star cruiser half buried in a cloud of debris. Its hull was almost invisible under layers of dust and cosmic grime, and there was no sign of any recognizable emblem or flag. Dex stared, his heart pounding. It didn't look like anything from human space or any of the known alien fleets. This was a ghost, a ship lost to time. Nova, he radioed his AI assistant. What am I looking at? After a pause, Nova's voice crackled in his earpiece. Analysis inconclusive. No known record matches this vessel's design. Dex grinned. Unknown? That meant two things. One, it was valuable. And two, it could be dangerous. But he'd never let a little danger stop him. He revved his thruster pack, approaching the cruiser's main docking bay. The airlock was just barely visible under layers of cosmic rust, but with a few whacks of his spanner, it creaked open, sending up a thin puff of atmosphere. Inside, the ship felt old. The corridor walls were lined with alien scripts and glowing, barely functional panels that cast an eerie, flickering light. Dust floated in the low gravity, disturbed by Dex's movements. Yet the ship still held a quiet, pulsating hum. Something somewhere was still running. Dex moved carefully through the dim hallways until he reached the engine room. His breath caught when he saw the size of it. A multi-layered web of interconnected coils, alien power cells, and conduits that snaked around a core so vast it could probably power a small moon. It was a mechanical marvel, far more advanced than anything humanity had engineered. He wiped the grime off a panel and peered at the symbols. Most of it was incomprehensible, but he could spot the basics: pressure levels, fuel readouts, maybe a startup sequence. Well, here goes nothing, he muttered, adjusting his tool belt. He reached for a lever that looked suspiciously like it needed a good yank. With a firm pull, it resisted, then gave way with a hiss. A dull rumble echoed through the cruiser. Lights blinked awake, flooding the engine room with an eerie green glow. The walls vibrated softly, and the hum intensified. He'd managed to kickstart something, though the control panels looked like they needed more persuasion. Dex decided to try the oldest trick in the mechanics book. He took his wrench, tapped on a large, stubborn-looking crystal core encased in the wall, and gave it a solid whack. A shockwave rippled through the room, and the lights blazed to full power, humming as if in relief. The entire cruiser responded. Doors across the ship opened, thrusters shuddered, and a distant rumble suggested that even the weapon systems had come online. Dex could feel the ship's power as if it was pulsing around him, alive. Then the voices started. Alien voices, low and overlapping, like ghosts whispering secrets across dimensions. They hissed through the air, words that were impossible to understand, yet seemed laden with urgency. The ship was talking, perhaps realizing it had a visitor after centuries of silence. "Nova," Dex whispered. "Are you picking this up?" "Yes," the AI responded, her tone uncharacteristically somber. "The ship appears to be transmitting. It's a distress signal, in an unknown language." "What do you mean, distress?" Dex frowned, the hair on his neck prickling. "Translation is rough, but it sounds like—" Nova hesitated. "It sounds like they're warning us. Something about coming home." The whispering grew louder. Screens flashed erratic lines of alien code, interspersed with diagrams and symbols. Dex's heart raced as he tried to make sense of it. But then, a single word appeared, repeated over and over in human-readable script. "Awaken." The ship lurched suddenly, pitching Dex off balance. Outside, ancient thrusters roared to life, firing at random intervals as if testing their capabilities. The cruiser had, by some unknown miracle, regained its memory. It was starting up? But for what? "Nova, what exactly did I just activate?" he asked, gripping the control panel for support. "Analysis is unclear, but the ship's engines are preparing for a full jump. Destination unknown." Panic flared in Dex's chest. He scrambled for the controls, searching for an override, but the systems were too alien, too advanced. Just as he located what looked like a navigational hub, The screens went black, and the lights dimmed. Then a hologram appeared, a figure cloaked in robes and brimming with a blue glow, its eyes piercing and unearthly. It stared at him for a long, unnerving moment, before speaking in a language he could almost understand, as if the words were pressing directly into his mind. "Welcome, stranger," the figure intoned, its voice resonating like an echo across time. "You have awakened the Sentinel." "Sentinel?" Dex echoed, swallowing hard. "This vessel, it was built to defend against them." The hologram's gaze darkened. "They come from the stars, creatures of shadow and hunger. We held them back, for a time. But the galaxy is wide, and they have returned." Dex's blood ran cold. He understood now. This ship wasn't a mere cruiser. It was a warship, designed to combat a threat so grave that its creators had prepared it to endure for eons, waiting for someone to reactivate it. "What do I need to do?" Dex asked, his voice steadier than he felt. You must take the Sentinel. Learn its ways, reawaken its power, and join the fight." The hologram flickered, the figure's expression almost sorrowful. "Our time is over, but yours has just begun." The hologram faded, and in its place, a map of the galaxy appeared. Red clusters marked points of conflict, places where these creatures, these ancient enemies, had spread. And in the middle of it all was Dex's location, a lone beacon among the stars. As the engines finished warming up, Dex held on tight, feeling the ship's immense power coursing through him. He'd never trained for a war on this scale. But as the cruiser leaped into hyperspace, he knew one thing for certain. He was ready to fight.